Hello everybody and welcome to NBL Overtime. The Kings have been brilliant. The Wildcats have hit a slight little snag. Melbourne United bounced back and the Adelaide 36ers did on the road what we've been waiting for them to do for a long period of time and have now continued to force their back themselves into top four conversation. I'm Cam Luke. You can get involved, hashtag NBL19. And what has been an extremely interesting 7 days since we last bumped into this man, Corey Homicide Williams, who has ditched the jersey and has gone with the short sleeves today. Hello.
Yeah, how you doing?
Well, you had a good week, man.
I had a pretty good week.
Yeah.
You know, life is good. It's summertime in Melbourne. I can't complain.
Good. Hey, Lim Santa Maria, happy birthday. Before we get into all the important stuff, and you are going to make history tonight, but happy birthday, mate. How old are you?
Yeah, in my 30s.
In your 30s. Somewhere between 30 and 40.
In my 30s, but got stitched up on the broadcast by Corey
and
the crew. None of that business tonight, but yeah. Heaps to go through. What a massive round night.
Yeah, of course, and no little bounce passes to Mosley, but we won't play that footage, but that was outstanding. I hope you had a wonderful weekend.
I've been dining out on that for a long time.
It has been a huge weekend, and it was set the tone, of course. The Sydney Kings, 15 down, were able to get over the Perth Wildcats. Then the Wildcats had to go to Melbourne. Sydney backed it up, and the Adelaide 36ers were able to win in Brisbane. And if you have a look at this, this was a game for the ages, not only for what happened late, but the very fact that very few teams go to Perth and do what they did in the Sydney Kings.
Well, no one had done it before this season. Melbourne came very, very close, maybe a little asterisk next to that loss, but David Ware had his biggest moment, stepping up and knocking down the game-winning shot. Great pass from Randall to find him, and Kickett and Ware were massive throughout the whole fourth quarter.
This is the big win too. Adelaide to go on the road. Brisbane are finding form, and Adelaide, they had to do it, and they went there and got it. And look at this, close game, puts them in front just under 5 minutes to go, Homicide, and they were able to hold their nerve.
Well, for Adelaide, there was a much-needed win. You know, right now, obviously, with the change of imports, they haven't hit their strides yet, but Joey Wright will always have this team ready for a finals run in the second half of this season.
It's always hard to go on the road and win twice, and Sydney had to do it. And to come back from Perth, not only the emotion of it, but also the trek. But they went to Illawarra, who have found some form as well and got the win. And then I think we're going to talk a little bit about Cairns as this night goes on, Liam. But the Breakers did what they had to do.
Look at that block there from Jared Weeks, just hanging in the air, blocking it with his left hand. Look at the athleticism here from Weeks. He's hanging and blocking Newball. And that was a good bounce back. Adelaide and Melbourne and New Zealand all bouncing back with wins.
And then last night, Melbourne Arena just under 9,000 there. There's your man, David Barlow. Most improved after 17 years, Corey.
Definitely most improved still. The clock has gone back. He's turned the clock back. Melbourne went and destroyed the Perth Wildcats.
And, of course, it has tightened up at the top of the NBL ladder. Perth doubled their loss total in the weekend. Sydney in the second. Melbourne bounced back, and they now play the Kings on Sunday, then Adelaide. But probably the biggest talking point of the week, and traditionally this is what happens. They come out of nowhere and no one can make any sense of it. But Andrew Bogut and you, Corey Williams, on Twitter going head-to-head. Can you please explain what the hell is going on?
All right, first of all, let's just hold off for that. Give me a minute, okay?
Oh, you want a minute now?
Give me a minute.
Wow.
Do you know Kobe Bryant is coming to Australia?
Yeah.
Did you hear about this?
I saw that today, yeah.
Yo, apparently, like, there's a group called, like, the Hour Group. They're announcing tomorrow that he's coming.
Yeah.
I want it.
Well, in what?
Somehow, some way, to some capacity.
Take us with you.
Yeah.
Listen.
I got an idea.
Maybe we can get him in overtime.
Buy a ticket.
No, we can't buy a ticket. We live here. We're in basketball here. We got to figure out a way how to get in it. Some media passes or something. Leave it to me. I'm working on something.
Already.
You figure it out.
I like the idea. But
It's a fact. He's coming in like, what, March or April or something?
March 6th, Kobe Bryant's going to be here.
I didn't even know the date.
You are deflecting.
Are you stalling?
Yes.
No.
You are deflecting.
Stalling. You've had
Andrew Bogut
3
is tuned
days.
in right now. He's about to hashtag do better.
Do better.
Hashtag NBL19.
Okay.
Tell us what's going on.
All right, let's get into it. I think a week ago I was on this show and I stated
You were?
he outplays every big man in this league outside of when he matches up against Josh Boone. And I said, Josh Boone is his kryptonite. I posted that. I at him in it because when I'm talking about anybody, I ensure it's not me talking behind their back.
No.
I tag you to let you know I'm talking about you. Now, whether you respond or not, that's on you. I've done this all season with him. He hasn't responded. Apparently, a subtle tweet shot at me, came out and said, where's the tweets? There go the tweets up on the board. You know, I have a disdain for people in sports, blah, 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 blah. Right? Who try to create and debate fake controversies and rivalries. It's easy to see through as a window. So basically, I'm talking trash, basically. So a couple days after that, Angus Brandt goes on national radio and calls this man an idiot. That's what he said. He said he acted like a pork chop. You act like, what is a pork chop?
Yeah, no, but
I'm asking you, I'm just asking a question.
Well,
I don't know, I'm American. I don't know.
He didn't even call him a pork chop. He said sometimes he behaves like
a pork chop. Yes.
What is like a pork? I'm American. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, a bit silly. Carries on a bit. That's the idea.
I heard that it meant an idiot.
Go on.
That's what Gage said in the post game.
Look, the gist of it is the same.
My point is, the man called him the day before he played him an idiot. Okay? Any competitor, when you see this guy who plays your position the next day, what are you supposed to do to that guy?
Well, you go out.
You're supposed to bust his ass.
There you go.
Period. Okay? They match up, and what happens? He gets his ass bust. 6 points, 6 rebounds, 0 blocks, no impact on the game. Fourth quarter, he's watching the game because he had 4 fouls. They go the chart right there. Look, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. I come up here, I say a lot of things, but there is the chart. Okay, Andrew Bogut versus Angus Brandt. 12 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists Angus Brandt had. Andrew Bogut, I just said his numbers, okay? They win, not because of his impact, because he had no impact in that game. We all know this. Now, that's his other kryptonite, which clearly I did not know. Angus Brandt. Now, the other guy to the right is who? Josh Boone. The last time they matched up, look at the numbers. Tell me if I'm lying.
I think that the Josh Boone one isn't bad, but the Angus Brandt, we probably need to have a look at the numbers from the week before.
Showed us.
Well.
Actually, you know what?
Because that is one game, and I see what you're saying, but it doesn't necessarily mean...
Yo, roll the tape, man. Roll the tape, man.
Yeah.
The other game against Josh Boone, he had 8 points, 15 rebounds.
Roll the tape, man. Roll the tape. Now, I don't know about you, but it looks like to me, Angus Brandt was the one with a 13-year career in the NBA. Oh. That's what it looked like to me.
Well, hang on. Brandt was great.
I'm just going off what I'm seeing.
But have you watched the whole season? What Bogut's been doing game this is what I'm saying. I'm talking about the 2 bigs. Okay? For them to win a championship, who they got to go through?
He did have 8 and 15 against Boone.
For them to win a championship, who they got to go through?
Yeah, they got to go through Perth and Melbourne.
Okay. What were the numbers you just saw on the screen the last time he matched up against them? Thank you very much. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. These are the 2 bigs that he has to go through to win a championship. And the last time he matched up against them, this is what the numbers were.
And so what's your point?
My point is, he going to have some trouble. He can't outplay them. Don't tell me the other day y'all up here about Sean Long, 23 points, 16 rebounds. That's not the guy he got to go through to win a championship. You're going to have to dominate those 2 guys. Everybody else,
footage here of Brandt scoring on Bogut.
Everybody else, he dominates. Listen, this is the best big man in the league. Let's be clear. This is not shots being thrown. I'm basically saying, based off of the last play, matching up against those 2 bigs, he cannot dominate them.
But you know what happened?
What happened?
They won.
Why did they win?
And against Melbourne.
Why did they win?
But they still won.
Why did they win? He did not have an impact on the game.
But it doesn't, as he said in a tweet, he didn't necessarily just say, hey, it's all about the team. So while he didn't have an impact at all in the game, they did still win the game.
What I'm saying to you is this. David Ware don't hit those shots like that, what happens?
Well, they lose.
Okay, then.
But he did.
Where was David Ware all year? Pulled a rabbit out his ass, got it done. Let's be real on this panel. Don't sit here like David Ware been knocking these shots down all day.
No.
Thank you very much.
One other game in New Zealand.
Agree.
Okay.
But they did win. I agree with what you're saying, but they did win. And that's where we look at it in sport. It's wins and losses. And
let me tell you something. Matchup-wise, we're going to see what's what. That's all I'm saying. Until he outplays those guys, until he outplays them like he's doing everybody else, they're not going to win no championship. It's going to come to that. That's what I'm telling you.
Then he called you mini Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, that's fine. First of all, I'm taller than Stephen A.
Totally cool.
I'm cool with all of that, what he said, because my stuff is going off of numbers in the game. His stuff, I want to go, like, personal. That doesn't bother me.
Well, he can't. Well, here's the other question.
He can say something.
Here's the other question. Did you stat chase?
What do you mean stat chase?
He said you chased stats.
How does he know what I've done in my career when he was in the NBA for 13 years?
Well, he kept an eye on
Explain to me how.
He said you chase stats. Did you
I never chase stats. Let me tell you something. As an import, you got to put up numbers. Never. I never chase stats. When I played in Townsville, right? Let's talk about Australia, since we're here. When I played in Australia, I was a scoring point guard. I had to score, or else we wouldn't win. That's just what it was. So it wasn't stat chasing. Guy open, I'm going to pass it. Because I'm going to be on the court. I got to get mines anyway for us to win. That's just what it is. See, when you're a local, you don't have to worry about putting up numbers because you're a local. I'll give you an example. Who's the guy that just got fired from Brisbane? He should have stat chased.
Last
he
word?
should have stat chased.
You got a last word here?
Look, here is, okay, so this is, I was just basically saying all that happened. He responded, there's not going to be any back and forth. I'm done with this right here. I'm not going back and forth all week. That's counterproductive. I said what I said. He said what he said. I said what I said. He said what he said. Now I just finished off so everybody can know what the whole fuss was about. That's all. Andrew Bogut, my pick. If they finish up correct in the regular season, I never said he wasn't good. You got to understand. I never said.
For what?
He's in the running for MVP.
No, you mean it?
I can say that.
Liam and I sat here last week and said he will be the MVP, and you said
Bryce Cotton. Bryce Cotton. It's between him and Bryce Cotton. It's between him and. Is it not?
What happened last Tuesday on his?
I had Bryce Cotton in the front. I had Bryce Cotton in the front.
And then you went to Perth and you read out the starters and you said, "There's Andrew Bogut, my pick for MVP."
I've heard it all.
I said that. And then what happened? He didn't show up. I thought he was gonna kill him.
One game and he's not.
And what Bryce Cotton did in that game?
But he didn't turn up last night.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. He might get it.
All right.
He might get it.
Are you going to Sydney this week? Because it's Boone v Bogut.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my thing. If the NBL is a smart league and operate right, which they are smart,
They are.
they should change my flight and have me commentate that game and let me interview him.
Who are you kicking off that game, just quietly?
First of all, Melbourne United's going to win. Who's he playing against? His kryptonite, Josh Boone, got that.
All right.
I'm telling you.
So you're going to Sydney if the NBL pony up and sack someone from their job.
Pony up, NBL. Let's get it done, baby.
Hey, move aside, Hammer.
Move aside, Hammer. Whoever's up there, Homicide is coming through.
That might be
Listen, this is business. It ain't personal. Let's get it done.
Carfino probably should have a week off anyway. You can't wear a jersey without a
without a sleep. Carfino. What y'all doing on that show, man?
We've established that.
Okay, who's the best big man in the league then?
Andrew Bogut is.
Andrew Bogut. Okay, good.
He
I'm glad. I'm glad
hold on,
we got to that.
last week.
I never said he wasn't the best big man. He is the best big man.
He can't be the best big man until he turns up against Josh Boone and beats him and takes that mantle off him. And I'm saying he already is.
I agree.
Out and out.
Look.
Big man
Let me do this again.
He was great Sunday too.
Andrew Bogut is the best big man in the league. He has the biggest impact in the paint. Yep. His team today, a year ago, was at dead last.
But did you say last week he can't be the best if he doesn't get hold of Boone?
I don't remember if I said that. I just know this. Run the tape. Run the tape. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the championship goes through United and Perth. He's going to have to dominate those matchups in order for them to advance. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
I think he's going to get a handle on Brant. I can see that. Boone's a really, really tough matchup because we saw him last year. This is the All-NBL first team.
We can't forget that. He's All-NBL first team.
And he was huge in leading them to the championship, and he has played Bogut tough. Now, he's had some help. Pledges come in and played well. They mixed things up with Barlow at one point. But right now, he's 2-0 against the Kings and against Bogut, and that's a tantalising matchup. We're going to see more of it this week.
Bogut was really good their first matchup, though. He got outplayed by Boone in the second matchup, but the first matchup on
He balled
really good.
He balled the first matchup. He balled the first matchup.
I'll grant that. All right, so they have to go through Perth and Melbourne. I think everyone agrees. Last night we saw those two teams play. Perth, and the continual conversation, it was around last year as well. Do they need to change an import? Now the question is, do they need to add a third import? Hashtag
Who's going first? Who's going first?
64% saying, yes, you can go first.
Thank you. Liam, what is my line?
It's not a cupcake league.
It's not a cupcake league, okay? You're not going to waltz in here with two imports and when it's flying high, think it's sweet. This league is not a bad league. You got to show up. There's no way. The first few games, that's when I said they peaked. I said this. They had nothing. They had the easiest schedule. Of course, they were smacking teams. Majority of the teams were not even in the top 4 current. So they were easier wins. Yes, they did some in dramatic fashion and form, but guess what? I'll give you an example. If they played against any team last night outside of Melbourne and Sydney, they would have came back and won that game. Teams would have folded. Teams would have folded because they're not good enough. The top 2 teams, there's no coincidence they lost 3 in a row to the top 2 teams.
Who is their third?
No coincidence.
Can I ask this? Can you win this league with a 3-import rule? Can you win this league with 2 imports?
Depends on who your locals are.
Well,
You could, but it depends on who your locals are.
Based on that, they've got a pretty good local contingent, and that's what
Nobody
brought in
showed up
Norton
yesterday, man.
and Kay.
What about, yes, Norton showed up yesterday. Kay did his thing. Tarico White, 1 point. Tarico White, 1 point.
So maybe,
local. We're talking
Are you kidding me?
We're talking about the local.
Wagstaff, one of them got to get fired.
Fired.
You're going to bring in another import.
Did you say Jesse Wagstaff?
One of them got to go. I tell you like this right now.
hang on, we've already been through this. So
Massive
Joey
slump.
Wright,
He's like 1 for 25 from the
He's in
three.
a
That's
huge
more
slump.
than massive.
You are not firing Jesse Wagstaff.
Somebody got to go if you're going to bring in a third import. So what do you do?
Well, you don't know. You maybe get rid of a development player, a 10th or 11th
Does
player.
he count as like a local? I thought it had to be like a...
Well, someone in the 10?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
See, this is the big question, I think, for them. So they kept this... They signed Kay and Norton.
Right.
Bolstered their local content.
Right.
And said, well, we can go into the year with 2 imports. We've got a starting lineup of Martin, Cotton, White, Kay, Brandt. We're locked and loaded.
Right.
And the idea is keep that second import spot up your sleeve for an injury. Right?
I mean, third import.
The third import spot up for your injury. Now, that injury hasn't happened yet. They're rolling. Even with last night's loss, they're 11-4 on top of the table. It's not panic stations. Now, let's say you bring in a new import, right? You bring in, what do you want? Maybe a 3, a 4, a Ramon Moore type of guy who can either start in front of White or back him up. And then next week, Angus Brandt goes down with a season-ending injury. Where are you now? You're thinking, that was the whole reason we came in with 2, so that we could bring in that new import 5 when that happened. Now, touch wood, that doesn't happen, and it could happen in any position.
Right.
But they have that up their sleeve right now.
But you know what the thing is with that is, when do you make that call? Because if you just continue to say, and they start to lose ground to Melbourne or Sydney, and they start to say, yes, but we don't want to pull the trigger because we've got insurance for an injury, at what point do you call it? Like middle of January?
Well, I said to
Late
Corey
January?
last night, we're approaching that time,
Yeah,
aren't we?
and that's the thing. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
You're right, because they have, and you point out they are 11-4. They're on top of the ladder. They got beat by the Kings on a last-second shot by, as you pointed out, a guy that hasn't hit a great deal of shots.
The other loss
year.
to the Kings, they didn't have Bryce Cotton.
No.
So for the most part, you wiped that away.
And had a chance in the fourth. And last night
they laid an egg.
Last night
they laid an egg. But let's make it clear, we've seen this from this Wildcats team before. We saw it when they rocked up to Utah and delivered the mistake in Salt Lake. And then everyone was writing him off. Well, oh my God, why did we send the Wildcats? That was horrible. They lost by 50 points. A few days later, they nearly beat the Nuggets. The Nuggets that have the best record in the Western Conference right now, and most of their big names played big minutes. And they turned it around. What was the problem in Utah? They couldn't get Bryce Cotton going.
Nope.
They couldn't get him to buy a basket. And if they don't have Bryce Cotton rolling, they're not going to win games. Then he goes to Denver and he
torches them.
And we can see them bounce back. Melbourne just lost twice to Brisbane. Did they panic? Did they change their team? No. They went back to the drawing board, said, who are we? What do we need to do well? Came out last night and did exactly that.
That's a good point.
Who's their third scorer? You know, if Cotton doesn't get going, is it? Or is it Clinton Steindl?
No, it's Cotton, White and Kay. And now, White's actually been pretty consistent. He was
bad last night.
But he's at most of his games of 15
And when
points.
Cotton wasn't there, he
true.
was the alpha dog. He went to the new level. I will say that the most valuable player at the Wildcats is Damien Martin. I still think...
Let's talk about that.
They
Well, he's on his way back, right?
desperately need him to play bigger minutes because the dominant guards in this league, dominant players, are the guards that he has been able to dominate defensively for the better part of a decade. And if they can get him back and playing 25, 28 minutes a game, it's an if. If they can, I think it goes a long way to help him.
So, okay, remember, they had a great run where a lot of players were injured, okay? The subs came in, stepped up, played big. Now, do you just cut the subs minutes completely when the starters come back? That kills the rotation completely. You know what I mean? Like, okay, Damian Martin comes back. As well as Mitch Norton is playing, You just going to kill his minutes?
They haven't done that.
They haven't.
So, okay, so when do you bring Damian Martin back?
Soon.
Yeah.
Probably this week against Brisbane and
I agree.
Illawarra. Here's the one point I will say, though. If you're going to make the move, here's the move I would like to see. If you're going to make a move, I'd like to see them bring in a Lamar Patterson, a Demetrius Conga, a three-man who's brings some athleticism.
Casey Prather, you mean?
Well, not Prather, because it needs to be someone who can shoot the pill from outside. That has been good for them this season, and it was bad for them last year with Tokoto. So a guy who can shoot, and you move Tariko White into like Ramon Moore last year off the bench. And as a result, maybe Steindl's minutes go down a little bit. Maybe Wagstaff's go down a little bit.
Wagstaff is in the doghouse.
Well, so if you're going to make a move, that's a move I don't mind, but it's risky because it removes the ace from up your sleeve, which you've kept there all season long.
Risk-free reward when it comes to the Perth Wildcats. Should they go for the third import, which they can still do? Hashtag NBL19, hashtag NBL Overtime, at NBL. The poll is up now. Illawarra Hawks, Indigenous game, did a wonderful job, and governing bodies and sporting leagues in this country do a wonderful job of continuing to thank and make mention of the people who have done such a wonderful job of making this country as great as it is. And the Illawarra Hawks went and did that over the course of the weekend. And before we talk about how great the game was, the jersey was spectacular.
It was really, really good design. Hat tip to the bloke who designed it and the artist, Glenn Sutherland, who painted the original painting, and they just did a great job. Tyson Demos, Matt Flynn, they took it to the club, made it happen, and everybody got around it, and it was sensational, and you really have to congratulate the Hawks for taking the lead. We've seen an Indigenous jersey before, the Crocs a few years back, but this really stepped it up to a whole nother level, and look at those hand-painted special edition shoes that Blanchfield and Kevin White wore, and the jersey looked great. They represented it well. They didn't get the win. They represented it well, and yeah, you really need to just congratulate the Hawks.
It must be a light jersey if it's letting Jordan Jet get above the rim.
The champ.
There he is. There he is.
Champ was in the house.
Outstanding. Now the continual talk now is, and the AFL and the NRL both have Indigenous rounds, and the continual talk is that the NBL is going to go down the same path. There's some talk that maybe the Sydney Kings might play a game later in the year similar, but the NBL looking now in future years to have an entire round with the entire league, including New Zealand, which is going to be something that's going to have to be looked at as to how they best fit into that round. But it looks like the NBL are going to go down the path and have an Indigenous round in the future as well, which is great. Yeah,
it is. It's great, and here's hoping that it snowballs from there and it becomes a league-wide thing, because that's what the league needs, I think.
All right, that was a great news story from the weekend. The Cairns Taipans most definitely is not. They won their first game of the year. They beat Brisbane. It's a long time ago. They beat Brisbane on a Saturday night in Brisbane. They beat the Bullets to kickstart the year. They've now lost 11 straight. Mike Kelly, first year in the hot seat, and is trying desperately to find ways to get this team a win. Homicide, what do you make of them?
I don't know what to tell you, man. They're not better than anybody in this league, and I think they're not even going to get another win this year. You get to a point. I don't believe that.
That's it?
I think that's it.
1-27.
I think that's it. Who can they beat? Who can they honestly beat? And at some point, you're getting beaten so much, you forget how to win.
Yeah, they've forgotten how to win.
You forget how to win. You don't have the experience in your back court that'll say, you know what? Let's go get it done today. You don't have that. You know, DJ Newbill is the leader of that team, but nobody else they're not showing up together collectively. Like, who's going to do it? I just hope Mike Kelly has he has a multi-year deal, so at least he gets another opportunity at this next season, because this is ridiculous. Who can they beat?
Well, they haven't shown signs that they can beat anybody as of yet. And look, let's establish some context, because it was a big move to move on from Aaron Fern over the off-season. All right? And they said, well, we're going in a different direction. We want to have a bit more of an aesthetically pleasing style. We want to play a little bit more up-tempo. And that's cool. That's fine. Aaron Fern won a lot of games in far North Queensland. Nobody wanted to play in Cairns. Year after year, they won their home opener. They won most of their home games. Right now, they haven't won at home all year. They've lost 11 straight. 13 straight losses is the franchise record.
Oh, they're getting there. Don't worry about that. They're breaking that record.
But for me, the issue is what they're doing at the defensive end, right? And it's been that way the whole season. Mike Kelly was saying that right from the very get-go. It starts with Mello Trimble. I spoke to Mike Kelly during the pre-season. I said, well, what's the next step for Mello Trimble? We know, well, I wrote an article that said, don't sleep on Mello Trimble. But part of it said, What's the next step for him if he wants to go and become an NBA player? He said he needs to improve defensively.
I raised this on this very show a month ago. I think it's the main reason he wasn't looked at and he had a pretty good college career offensively, and coming out of it, I think there was a huge reason. I'm not even saying he can't play defence. Yep. Sometimes people just don't want to. Now, I'm not sure which basket he sits in, but he's an offensively talented player. And you talk about it, and Liam's about to go down and break down what happened late in the game, but this is history, and who knows what the hell's about to happen. But you know what? You mentioned about the very fact that you forget how to win, you don't know how to win. And as I throw to Liam at the big screen, this is a perfect example because late in the game, you just never got the feeling the Cairns were going to win, even though it was tight.
We have to draw a line in the sand, right? That's what Melbourne did from last week to this week after they lost those 2 games to Brisbane. So we're drawing a line in the sand. We are going to win at the defensive end. They came out last night and did that to the ladder leaders. Well, how long is it going to take for Cairns to do that? That's my question. This is the last couple of minutes. These are the 3 plays, I think, 2 defensive possessions for Cairns that decided the game on the weekend and gave them their 11th straight loss. 3 minutes to go, 1 possession game. They're in defensive transition, all right? Mello, Trimble and Nate Jawai are the last guys back. So what do you got to do? You got to communicate. You got to hustle. You've got to do everything you can to stop the Breakers getting a crucial basket here. Jawai points ahead here and communicates to Lucas Walker to say, I'm behind my man. You get my man. But watch Trimble and watch the hustle here. Let's roll the tape. His man is not here. It's not there. It's over there. No communication, nothing, splash. You're down 6. All right, it's not ideal. But it's the sort of thing we see time and time again. They come down offensively. It's not a great possession. You see Trimble goes to work, puts it on the deck, you know, in the traffic, shooter's open, all right. But defensive transition again. All right, the defensive transition here is not so bad. The ball goes into Ty Wesley. It's a 6-point game. Pause the tape there. So what's happening here? Devon Hall's just left his man, Tom Abercrombie. There's no communication whatsoever. Is Trimble now rotating out? Is Hall coming and going? No, they stay there. Roll the tape. They stay there. No talk. No one's guarding Weeksy now. That's the ball game. And so my question is, what are you doing at the defensive end, and how committed are you to winning the ball game?
I wanted to ask, what was Devon Hall doing?
Well, what they were doing is not communicating.
No, but why would he even go there anyway?
And now here's the last point I want to make. There was a press conference earlier in the year, and Mike Kelly made the statement, Trimble's been inconsistent at the defensive end, but at times he's been so good offensively that we've rode him. For me, that rang alarm bells for this team, because that's not the accountability you need to win. You never see winning teams ride guys offensively who aren't turning up at the defensive end, and they need to change that accountability. They need to change that culture if they're going to get any wins.
Who's their best defender?
DJ Newball.
DJ Newball.
And then Devon Hall. And they need to turn it around as a whole team.
The important thing is, and while Cairns aren't going that well and we've taken them back down the backdrop, that you made it over without tripping, and that was a pretty nice first effort at the screen. And our next step is now to put you in the TV screen.
Yes.
Kenny Smith style, and be able to work out how it all goes. Now, you have had a big weekend, not only breaking down the Cairns Taipans, but you have been watching stuff that, while Homicide was on Twitter arguing with the best big man in the league, and
and
a couple other things on. Yes. You and Jason Dunstall, one of the greatest VFL, AFL players of all time.
Starting to know some people around the town, man.
What have you picked up we might have missed, mate?
Oh, no, there's always a bit going on with around the league. Roll the vision. We start... Where do we start? Oh, yeah, we start with the win. Look at the Red Army. Love the passion and the intent. Look at these 5 guys here. There's so much to watch here. The guy in the top right-hand corner, he's showing the championship belt. They're not the champions, but he's showing it anyway. And look at the intensity of the guy in the front and centre. Roll the tape. Look how pumped he is.
This is what you... this is what you need to do.
They're so great, the Red Army.
You need to inject that intensity to the Cairns Taipans defensively, and I reckon they'll win a game.
Good call. Here's Jesse Wagstaff. His shoe came off, but watch on the slow-mo. The hands of Wagstaff, and he caught it.
Boom.
The shoe comes off and catches it. We need him in the slips for the national team. Here's this lady just giving Weeksy the thumbs up. I'm okay. But, girl, this is your 15 seconds of fame. Embrace the camera.
Oh, no.
The camera is your friend.
Yeah, she should have been at work. That's a work situation.
Yeah.
Called in sick.
I feel sorry for Ramon more. Matt Hodgson, as Cam Tragar said, just couldn't pump the brakes, the big fella. He's trying to spin in the lane and cops that.
Oh!
That's not fun. This was fun for Cam Glidden. Tries to throw the lob pass to Matty Hodgson. And sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and the thing just goes in.
Yeah, that's the homicide. That's a homicide 2010 just chasing stats, I guess.
Cotton could have done with a couple of that. Now, I felt for Sam Squires here. This interview here, Hammer and Drew, you loved the passion, the intensity. Hammer was really calling him out. But she must have felt like a bit of a third wheel at this point, don't you think? And she's... And obviously, Brand. It wasn't his night last night, Angus Brand. He couldn't catch it with his hands. He tried catching it with his head, but that didn't work either.
All right.
They go back.
My goodness.
If you do see anything, of course, let Liam Santa Maria know on Twitter. Hashtag NBL Overtime. What are you? At Liam, hashtag Santa?
_Santa.
_Santa. All right, there you go. We obviously spoke a couple of weeks ago about who's going to fit into that fourth spot. We won't spend too much time on it now, but I said Brisbane. Adelaide got the window. Boys, where do you sit right now when it comes to the fourth spot? As we look at the ladder there, Brisbane 7-7, a huge win by the 36ers to bridge the gap. Are you still confident the form might stay the same?
I think the form will stay the same. It would be awesome for Brisbane Bullets to get that fourth spot. It would be really good for the league. Not saying the league wants it, but it'll be great for Brisbane Bullets.
Did you say New Zealand?
Yeah, you said New Zealand.
Yeah, man, get him out of here, man.
So you're forgetting?
Corey Webster, where are you? Where are you? This team was built.
He's got a sore hip, I'm told.
Around him. Okay, he's the star. He's the main guy. He has not been consistent, and he has not shown up in important games when it mattered most. You need to step up. Yeah, you got a sore hip now, but when that get better, man, the second half, you need to make a run and help this team get in. Because on paper, well, we can say on paper all day, but you got a talented team, talented enough to make that top four.
Well, I think they might be about to make a bit of a run, the Breakers. Obviously, it's tough without Corey Webster, but they lost 5 straight, yes, but they were all against Perth, Melbourne or Sydney. Now they get a chance to play a bunch of the other teams. They turned up and beat Cairns, got that done on the road. All right, okay. But they got the job done. And now they get the chance.
You can only beat who you play. You can only beat who you play.
We can't talk about that team no more, man.
So now we can't talk about anyone who beats the Taipans.
No.
All right.
That's a bye week.
Quickly, because we want to have all of us accountable. Who's the coach of the year right now?
It's Trevor Gleeson. It's Trevor Gleeson. With what they did.
I agree.
All that period of time with all those injuries to be 11-4. Yep. Now, you're suspect about where they're going to go from here, but if you call coach of the year right now, it's Trevor Gleeson.
I'm with you.
Yeah, you can say that.
And what do you say?
I just did say that.
I mean,
what do you say?
Who's in second right now?
Sydney.
That's not the question.
Andrew Gaze.
So you got Gazy?
100%.
Okay.
It's just the ladder? That's it? It's just the ladder?
Okay.
Where was Sydney Kings last year?
Well, you know what?
And where they at right now?
That's beautiful.
He's coaching well.
Because this leads us into
Gaze, man.
Are the Sydney Kings right now the title favourites?
Yes, they are.
Is Boxing Day?
Oh, you got to respect the champs.
Yeah, they've changed.
He has changed.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, what do you mean?
You definitely got to respect the champs.
Well, hang on. Yes or no? Are the Kings the title favourites?
Nah, you still got to go through the champs. I believe they're going to win it, but you got to go through Melbourne.
Is Boxing Day, Melbourne and Adelaide, roof open, is that the biggest NBL event of the year outside of a grand final?
100%.
Yes.
That's all you got?
It's a yes or no question.
I thought you had some more.
Oh, I do.
Okay, I'm waiting.
Why the dramatic pause?
I know.
Honestly, I was trying to read my handwriting. Do Perth need more from Damien Martin? We already did this as well.
Yeah.
Okay, are United missing Ty Wesley?
Yes.
Would you said you answered this question last week, and I'll ask you again. Would you start Alex Pledger on Sunday against Andrew Bogut?
No, I would not.
Will Bryce Cotton play NBA?
He already has.
Again.
Nah, he's here for 2 more seasons.
He's got an out clause.
No, I don't even think he does, actually.
Doesn't he?
No.
Hey, would the Chicago Bulls, this current disjointed team who don't even like to practice, would they be undefeated in the NBL?
No. Different rules. NBA rules versus
Is Daniel
FIBA
Johnson,
rules.
he was great on the weekend, hence the question, is he the most frustrating player in the NBL?
No.
No? Who is?
Who is?
Question. I was hoping you weren't going to follow that up. It used to be Clint Steindl, but he's kind of broken out of that. Let me think on that.
Should the NBL bring back
Corey
jump
Webster
balls?
right now.
Yeah,
Corey Webster, yeah, he is the most
Should
frustrating.
the NBL bring back jump balls?
Nah.
What?
No?
Nah.
Worst yes or no question of the year.
Rubbish. I've asked worse. Do you know how much abuse I've been getting on Twitter about the chain net thing?
I was just about
Which
to
I
ask
still
you.
stand by. I still stand by it. And still, in the history of professional basketball, are you the only player to be interviewed post-game after 1 point and 2 assists? In professional basketball, the whole world.
Yes. I don't know how I got
That was incredible.
And did you see it? You played it last night. The intensity to which he ran off the ball was as intense as he was on it.
Goodness.
It was great. I'd
Yeah,
love
it
to
was.
see
Very
it.
division.
Okay. All right. You know what? That was pretty crap. That was my worst yes or no. of the
Do
year.
hashtag do better.
Are we still going to play one-on-one? Oh.
Hashtag do better.
Are you going to chase some stats this week? Or are we?
Nah, man, listen. I'm not. Look, I'm done with that.
Are you
It's
going
over.
to Sydney?
We'll see what the
do we need
NBL
to do?
says.
Do Liam and I have to ring Hammer or Cotton, Carfino or Rosie?
Nah, you
I'm
got
not calling
you got to
either of
ring.
those guys.
On that
Yeah,
note,
Corey.
we're out of here. NBL overtime. Are we? Oh, we're going to take a. Are we doing Christmas Day special?
No, I don't think we are.
Definitely not.
I agree. On that note, we'll be back on New Year's Day. Well, I know that Liam and I will be. Will you be here New Year's Day?
Game day decision. Game day decision.
Hashtag NBL 19. Enjoy the hoop. See you sometime soon.
What's happening on New Year's?